Pass, who has been ousted out from the competition too early. Sad one for a promising player, you will say, for Nikiros. But away from that, Novak Djokovic came from a set down. He came from a set down to win his opening round Australian Open match, his first victory with three-time Grand Slam champion Andy Murray in his coaching box. The Serb beats a 19-year-old American Neshesh Basavedi 4-6, 6-3, 6-4, 6-2 in that encounter. And expectation, so many, of course, a performance, so many, expected from Djokovic in this one, Michael.
So much expectation from Novak Djokovic, and I think he's one of the favorites for this year's Australian Open. Novak Djokovic, taking a look at his experience, what he's brought to bear into the game, what he's brought to the table, I think for me he's one of the highly profile players in this year's Australian Open, alongside Jannik Sinner, maybe Carlos Alcaraz, Dani Medvedev. These are some of the top name players out there. So for me, I think Novak Djokovic for this year's Australian Open will ensure that at least, if not winning it, but making sure he goes very fine this very well. Don't forget that he has also deployed the services of Andy Murray, who also is going to help him with some of the needed experience, to also add to what he has already going forward. So for me, I think he's one of the favorites and starting off in a very fine note, despite losing the first set, but yet he wasn't deterred. He still came back very strong, to finish the game in an impressive fashion. So for me, I think it's a big congratulations for Novak Djokovic. But then there are still more games to come.
Huge congratulations for Novak Djokovic at this point in time. More games to come. We hope, of course, he'll be able to tackle all of this going forward. But away from that, talking about the man, Nikiros, don't forget, of course, he's been talking tough. But we saw fast-rising British star Jacob Fairley, kept his focus and composure to beat an ailing Nikiros on the home favourite long-awaited comeback at the Australian Open. Fairley, with 3 years, cruised to a 7-6, 6-3, 7-6 victory in the first overseas Grand Slam match of his fledgling career. Michael, Nikiros is down at the moment.
Down and out. He takes pleasure in using the media to gain popularity and attention. Having been away from the game, immediately he came back, just for him to head straight to the media to make some bogus statement and controversial statement to attract more publicity to himself, because he said a few days ago that the world of ATP looked like a mundane, was more like a mundane,
look boring,
just because he's out. And we're talking or debating right here. I don't know what he meant by that the world of tennis is very boring without him, and you begin to ask yourself what are his achievements so far. If we're talking about players maybe more like Novak Djokovic coming to the media to make this kind of statement after being away from the game for a quite longer time, that could be acceptable, that could be understandable to say, oh yeah, he has brought a lot to the table, he has brought a lot to the game. But someone who I think his best, the best he has come in the ranking is world number 13. He hasn't won any major laurels for himself per se, where we begin to say, okay, yeah, that may be true because he has won a lot, he has contributed a lot to the world of tennis. But he is a player that has not even won any major, so for me, I think he speaks more than, exerting more efforts on the court of play. He exerts so much into the media, trying to, pull some of those media stunts out, and it was very clear that he wasn't ready for this very one. Disappointing one, because we love to see these kind of players that are very controversial when it has to do with the media party and all of that. One of the excitement that keeps the world of tennis going, one of the excitement that keeps tennis followers going, but then when you are not having some of these players that are very controversial, when they hit the media, then I mean, we are not going to get a lot or more publicity in terms of the media stunt out there. But for me, I think he wasn't just prepared for this very year's Australian Open.
Of course, the man, of course, wasn't just prepared, according to Michael. Maybe, of course, he's going to get himself, right, going forward this time around. But away from that, let's bring you some interesting news at the moment, as we saw qualifier Hadi Habib describe his history-making Australian Open win as the biggest achievement of his career, after he became the first player from war-damaged Lebanon to win a Grand Slam match. The world number 219 won 3 qualifying matches in Melbourne to become the first man to represent his nation in a major single tournament. Impressive one, of course, you will say down there for him. But let's move on as we take a look at, the female category still in the Australian Open, as the likes of Jessica Pegula, Corey Kokogov, Iga Swiatek, of course, they've been able to pull through in the first round of their games, but they are actually putting up a very good gesture towards the Los Angeles, residents due to, of course, the wildfire down there at this point in time. But Michael, apart from that good gesture, it's been an impressive start for the likes of Kokogov, Jessica Pegula, and as well Iga Swiatek.
Yes, of course. These are some of the traditional names, some of the favorite names in the WTA that you should expect them to pull through, get over their opponent, especially in this first very preliminary stage of the competition. So they have not disappointed, so far. Jessica Pegula, Corey Kokogov, Iga Swiatek. These are some of the familiar names that you, at least as a tennis follower, you want them to at least go through the first stage, so that we see more ticker, more competition. When the competition get tougher, when we get to the semi-final, quarter-final, you get to see some of these big names still being around. I think it keeps the excitement going. So for me, it wasn't a surprise seeing some of these big names, progressing through from the first, preliminary stage, because there is no big upset yet. But then definitely we must see an upset at some point of the competition. But it is quite, great to see some of these big names, progressing through from the preliminary stage.
Impressive one, as it stands, and we hope, of course, we'll continue to see this impressive, performance going forward in the Australian Open. But at this point, we have to take a break. Head coach talking about the man, Eric Chell. Stay with us, right back.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN. beyond the lines, across the ocean, to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara. We bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
nobody's ambition is what
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
from the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Welcome back, the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course we're still bringing you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports. Michael is still here, and together we'll of course bring you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports at this moment. And of course joining us this moment is an Uyo-based sport journalist, Basi Iberusogo. Good evening to you and welcome to the show.
This evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear
you. Emmanuel, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good evening to you.
Thank you very much. Sorry where I am a little bit close to the road during the vehicles. Good evening. Nice to be on your show.
All right, Basi, today we got a report that, of course, the new coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria has been unveiled, talking about Eric Chell. What do you make of that unveiling today?
Well, first of all, I have to say congratulations to the Super Eagles, the NFF, and of course, Nigerians and the football lovers as a whole. You know, we've been trying to look for a good replacement for a former coach who left, and of course we had a Gavon who was standing in. But now finally we have a coach, a substantive coach you can call upon for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. It may not be the kind of coach many football fans had wanted, because some had wanted, you know, the big names as far as the world of coaching is concerned. But man, Eric Chell is not as big and as known as so many Nigerians would have thought of. And so it wasn't surprising that when the announcement was made that the Malian was the new coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, a lot of people were asking questions, who is Eric Chell? Who is Eric Chell? But finally, he's here. He's been unveiled by the Nigerian Football Federation, and it means that for the next couple of months or years, according to his contract, we are going to be having him. So for me, I really do not have problem against the new coach. I just hope that he performs and does the job as he wants. If he does the job perfectly, and anybody will have any problem with him, but if he doesn't get the job done, I'm sure that's when the fans will start talking and of course getting at him. But so far, I want to congratulate him, and I pray and hope that Nigerians will support him, you know, to achieve success with the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Impressive. And during the unveiling today, the man, of course, sounds so patriotic. He talked about the fact that he's been following the Super Eagles of Nigeria for some time now, that He was watching the Super Eagles when he was young. He also got the shirt of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Being this patriotic, he also said that he is willing to, of course, make the Super Eagles a scoring side. Of course, you know how the Super Eagles, they've been struggling with goals. Do you see Eric Chell solving the goal scoring problem of the Super Eagles?
Well, I listened, I watched the unveiling, I listened to him, just like you said, very patronizing, and of course, who will not be, for a Malian to take over the coaching job of the Super Eagles of Nigeria? That's one of the most sought after position as far as football is concerned in Africa. It's a brand, talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and so for you to give me that opportunity to be the coach, I think it's a thing of pride, and of course it will also boost his CV. And so he defeated Nigeria during the AFCON. I think that's one of the points. Of course, even Malam Shehu also raised that point that defeat the Super Eagles of Nigeria, it means there's something he's got, and so we are looking for that thing. For me, I would say he shouldn't overpromise, he should underperform. He should just keep it there. Already we have a big task at hand, which is the World Cup qualifiers, and so that's when we start seeing if the new coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the promises he's making is anything we can hold on to, or if maybe we should search for another. But I absolutely wish him the best, and like I said, he shouldn't promise and under-deliver. He should instead under-promise and over-deliver. For him to talk as much as telling us he will make us a goal scoring, win the World Cup, win this and that, I think he should just calm down first. Calm down, get the job, see the boys, and then we'll start knowing if the NFL made the right choice by choosing him to be the coach of the Super Eagles.
From what we saw, the NFL actually gave him a 2-year contract with an option for a further year if he qualifies the Super Eagles of Nigeria for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And that is, of course, going to be a very, very tedious task, and probably his first assignment as he stands. Does he stand a chance? Can he qualify the Super Eagles of Nigeria for the 2026 World Cup?
He's got one of the most difficult tasks in the continent of Africa now as a coach, because one, he's coming in at a time where the Super Eagles World Cup campaign was already on the downside. The performance was not impressive enough, and then you're coming in at a time that everyone expects you to turn things around immediately, and the very first task that you're going to undertake for the Super Eagles will probably be the World Cup qualifiers. And so coming in at a time, your biggest test will be at the World Cup qualifiers, and you need to win that match to ensure that you stand a chance of qualifying. I mean, it's very difficult, but I also want to trust, aside his technical contribution, I also want to trust the players he's got on his side, because of course we have back-to-back the African-based players. We've got in all the department players who should actually and normally execute these matches and ensure that we qualify to the FIFA World Cup. If Eric is going to do it, I think that's the reason why he's brought on. Because if we were trying to gamble, if we want to qualify or not, us, the government would have been left there. But for him to come on, having coached a side like Mali, I think that's his biggest job as a coach. Coming to the Super Eagles of Nigeria, it's a difficult task, but it's not something that can't be done. I really believe that it can be done with the quality of players we've got, and of course, what he's going to bring in as a former player, and of course the coach of a side like the Eagles of Mali.
All right, Basi, will you blame Eric Chell if the Super Eagles of Nigeria do not qualify for the World Cup? Will you put the blame on him?
Can you take that again? I didn't get that.
I'm asking, will you blame Eric Chell, that's the current coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, if the Super Eagles do not qualify for the FIFA World Cup come 2026?
No, I won't blame him. And it's very clear, he didn't start the campaign, and it will only be an injustice for you to start poorly and then expect him to if he doesn't get it right, he shouldn't bring that in as if he doesn't get it right, you get him sacked. I think we are positive, we are expecting that he will get it right. But if he doesn't get it right, we shouldn't blame him. Instead, we should allow more time to see how he can start a campaign and finish. I think that's the only proper way we can judge him, and not having to come in when the things were really bad. Yeah, he came in to see how to correct it. But if he can't correct it at the end of the day, I think we shouldn't blame him to the point of trying to sack him. But I know Nigerian fans, and of course we always want to get it right at every point in time. But we wish him all the best, and we hope that we'll not have an opportunity or any reason to blame him, because we want to be at the next World Cup.
You're talking about not blaming him and giving him time, even if the Super Eagles of Nigeria do not qualify. Basi, do you see Eric Chell building a formidable Super Eagles team in the future?
Please take that again, sorry.
I mean, talking about the fact that you said we should give him more time, even though if he doesn't qualify the Super Eagles of Nigeria for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, do you see him building a formidable Super Eagles team going forward?
Oh, sorry, having network issue, I didn't get that particular question.
Okay, I'm going to take that again. I don't know if you can hear me now. Can you hear me now, Mr. Bassi?
Yeah, loud and clear.
All right, I'm saying, do you see Eric Chell building a formidable Super Eagles team, even though he doesn't qualify the team, for the FIFA World Cup? In the future, do you see him, of course, building a formidable Super Eagles team?
Well, I think, talking about building a formidable Super Eagles team, I believe in him. I believe, when he was announced initially, I had to go watch his clips. I had to go watch what he's done. And I noticed that he came in at the time the Malian national football team was almost going down. And he was able to, bring in strength to them. They came for the last AFCON. They didn't come like, a nobody, or the Malian side that we stopped knowing after the likes of Kanute and the rest left. But they came in with something. They came in with substance, and they showed what they had, up their sleeve. So I believe he's going to build a strong team. But the question is, are we still talking about, a formidable building a formidable squad for the Super Eagles at this point in time? I think Super Eagles have matured to the point where we shouldn't be talking about building. Yeah, I know we should be talking about sustaining and maintaining a particular standard. But I'm very confident that, from what I've, researched about him, that he's got what it takes, to mold a team, and give life again. Like he said, he's talking about goal scoring chances, which has been one of the biggest problems of the Super Eagles. He needs to fix that. He's got the manpower. He's got the quality. You cannot have a team where you have a Victor Boniface, Ademola Lookman, a Victor Osimhen, and of course all the array of strikers and wingers. Then you're struggling and complaining of how to get goals scored. So I want to believe that with Eric Chell coming in, his major task will be to ensure that we can solve that goal scoring problem. And if he does that, then maybe that will be a beginning or a start of his long relationship with Nigeria.
All right, Mike is here. Mike, Eric Chell has been unveiled as the Super Eagles coach, as it stands. I don't know what you make of his unveiling. Going forward, what are your expectations from the man?
Going forward, my expectation is to see that he can be able to tinker the Super Eagles back to, the Super Eagles of 2013. That even with an indigenous coach then, under the tutelage of then the late big boss himself, talking about Stephen Keshi, can also get a win for us, the African Cup of Nations. I think this is what I'll be looking up for Eric Chell, to also see that the Super Eagles generally improves, because how many years down the line, since 2013, that is the last time we won the African Cup of Nations. It's about 11 years down the line right now, and we are unable to win it again. I think the last one we got to the final. We should go a step better, by winning it this time around. Then again, if he can qualify us for the World Cup, good. I think that is going to be a plus to him, and he's going to even you know, endear a whole lot of Nigerian fans to himself, because as it is right now, every Nigerian football follower, especially Super Eagles follower right now, knows that it will take only a miracle for us to qualify for the World Cup. So if he comes in and helps the Super Eagles qualify for the World Cup, I tell you, he has getting almost 80% of Nigerian national team. But then, I tell you, Kingsley, it's going to be a Herculean task. It is enormous task that is await, you know, the coach, talking about Eric Chell, because as it is right now, a lot of expectation on his shoulder. Just like my colleague Basi Biatus said out there, he should not talk much, because, you know, Nigerians, 99.9% of Nigerians are football coaches. So, and will also hold him by his words. So he should just, you know, do less of the talking and put in more work, so that we'll get to see a tangible evidence of an improvement in the national team. Then he can start the talking then, but it will be very awkward for him to start talking tough on the media right now. And then when the job gets started, you discover that it is not what he said. A lot of Nigeria will come for him. Okay,
let's get back to Basi down there in the U. Basi, let's take a look at the situation of things in the CAF Confederation Cup. Eyimba, they drew against Al Masry yesterday at the Gosla Pabi International Stadium. You were there live. What happened to Eyimba yesterday? The result the fans needed was a win, but they ended up, you know, drawing that particular one.
Well, the first of it is that the result Eyimba needed was a win before the fans, because they are the biggest beneficiaries. You know, qualified to the quarterfinals of the CAF Confederations Cup, and you're talking about how lucrative that particular, you know, stage of the competition is. Well, not what the fans also wanted, because the fans, you know, came in numbers, you know, to support People's LA fans. Not Eyimba of Aba this time around, but the Eyimba of Nigeria, you know, to ensure that they can qualify to the next round of the competition. Disappointedly, the visitors, Al Masry, got the first goal in that particular game, and we were still hopeful. That was in the first half, and of course in the second half we saw Eyimba coming in, smoking, and of course doing everything they needed to do. For me, I think there was a technical deficiency, you know, affecting the Eyimba side, and of course you have to look at how the North Africans play football. Very fast, all the players very fast. The wingers, they were giving Eyimba defense lots of trouble, to the point that even the captain of the side, you know, Someari, had to be taken off because it was overstretched. It was overstretched by the pace of the Egyptians. That was too fast, and you know how all of this can cause trouble to a defensive, the home team. So that was it. But I think Eyimba were lucky, because a penalty was safe in that particular game. Should have ended 2-1. The Egyptians lost or missed a penalty in that particular encounter. Luckily, they were able to get one goal back. That 1 point wasn't enough, because they needed to pick the 3 maximum points. Now they have 5 points, and if they have picked the 3 maximum points, we're talking about Eyimba staying second position. But unfortunately, we have Al Masry on the second position, while Zamalek, they have 11 points on top there. It means that they need to go to Egypt. It means they need to go to Egypt and beat Zamalek, and hope that Al Masry doesn't win their last game. And Emmanuel, to be very frank, you know, yeah, the patriotic side is there. When you look at football out in Africa over time, it's almost like the end of the road for the people who say elephants. Very unfortunate. We had wished and wanted and hoped that they will progress to the quarterfinals. But in what we saw yesterday, it's almost impossible to say they can go to Egypt. They can go to Egypt and get the 3 maximum points against Zamalek. And even if you get a 3 maximum points against Zamalek, what's the assurance that Al Masry will not win their last game? And so it becomes very difficult. You know, the situation we are in is a situation where we need to help ourselves, and we need another side to help us. And for me, I don't like believing what seems impossible. I feel Eyimba, yeah, they started well, but dropping points at this time at home, I shouldn't have been. If they had gotten that point, it would have been better for them, but it didn't happen yesterday in New York.
Lastly, on this one, Mr. Basi, what do you think, of course, has been the reason why Nigerian football teams, of course, they've actually struggled to take a look at it, let's just say in the last 5 years, you know, in the continent.
Please take that again. Take that again so I can hear you.
What do you think had led to the struggle of MPFL teams, you know, in the continent? Let's just say in the last, you know, 5 years.
Well, I think a lot. Professionally, we are not getting it very right. You know, I keep saying this every time. I keep challenging those who believe that we have a professional, that we run a professional football in Nigeria. I keep challenging them that professional football is far beyond what we are doing. You know, when you're talking about professional football, a lot entails the motivation for the players. These players committed to even play in the Nigerian league. Every single player in the MPFL now wants to travel out, even travel to countries like Ghana. They just want to leave the shores of Nigeria. So that lack of commitment is not there. The administrators are not doing it well to develop the league to the point. Emmanuel, if I attended the training session of Al Masri, you needed to see how the professional football side is run. You know, I was with the media officer of Aqua United. We sat side by side, and we were talking about how they even came with tape to mark the pitch. What we use cones and other things to do in the Nigerian Professional Football League. Football has gone beyond that. That the Egyptians, they came with some markers, some stickers that they just mark on the pitch, and when they finish, they remove it without any stain, without any, no difficulties. They came with their stretcher table. The stretcher table is a portable thing. They can just come, open it, and you realize that what somebody was carrying in a school bag is actually a very big table that can carry a full human being on top for a massage. There are a whole lot of things that are infused into professional football that is lacking in Nigeria. We don't even want to go into the allowances, into payments, into all of those things. So I feel why we are not getting this right, and we cannot match up with the Egyptians. We cannot match up with the North African teams. And so that's why anytime we meet them in a CAF competition, they will always have a way of knocking us out, because these guys are highly motivated.
I think we lost connection down there with Basi Iberuso, but that is the situation of things at the moment. Yimba, of course, they have a slim chance to qualify for the CAF Confederation Cup. You know, I think quarterfinal stage at this point in time. Michael, your take on this, and we'll call it a wrap on the show.
I think for me it's quite a difficult one for Enyimba. Their representation of Nigeria.
Football is done there, and you're like this.
Go ahead.
Okay, their representation of Nigeria in the CAF Confederation Cup has been very disappointing. It actually struggled, and Eguma coming in at this point in time, I think, or rather I thought maybe he was going to at least salvage the situation by getting the 3 points back here, so that he can also help them to build ahead of the next game away, which is going to be against a North African side. I think with this very draw, we are almost out of the competition, because technically speaking, I think it will be very difficult for us to go away against a North African team and get a result against them. Even if we get a positive result against them, then we will also relying on the rest, is it Black Bull, to defeat Al Masri away from home, which is very difficult. So for me, I think that is almost, Enyimba is almost out of the competition. That is just the truth. And then again, I also think that they should come back home and possibly focus on the league and see if they can be able to fight for the title. Maybe next season, if they get another continental ticket, they can prepare themselves very well.
All right, so at this point, we'll call it a wrap on the show. And of course, we can go without telling you that, of course, a lot, of course, to look out for at this point in time. But I think we have to say a special thanks to Basi down there. Basi, are you still there? All right, I think Basi has left us. All right, we'll try to, of course, have him on the show on the subsequent edition to take a look at some of these critical matters down here. And special thanks to Mike as well for joining the show this evening.
Yeah, always a pleasure doing this with you, Kingsley. But before we leave, I think Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, has just announced his retirement.
Once
again, because he did that in 2022 as well after his fight against Dillian White. But this time around at 36, I think he just decided to hang the glove at this point in time.
All right, at this point, we'll call it a wrap on the show. We can't go without tell you that Habib, of course, is a sport extraordinaire on the show. The man from Lebanon, putting up a very impressive performance so far in the Australian Open. My name is Kingsley Emmanuel. Thanks for watching.